Are Triumph motorcycles, are they an English brand anymore? Let me explain. So I started looking into Triumph a little bit more. I get press releases from them as well, of course, of what they're going on in terms of company structure. And Triumph are a bit of an odd thing in that they've been around since 1902. They came out of the bicycle era, and so they were producing bicycles before then. Went into the motorized world, and they had a whole history of course. Then they went by the wayside. Then they were restarted again. And so they've got a base here in the UK in Hinckley in Leicestershire. But most of their bikes are not made here in the UK. They're actually made in Thailand. It says they've got 3 factories in Thailand and 1 factory in Brazil. So it's an interesting thing when you actually ask, okay, are Triumph British? Well, they are. They are a private limited company. Let me just show you the website here. And it's basically, they're owned by John Bloor. This is a Wikipedia page just to show you. But he's a British billionaire businessman. He owns Bloor Holdings, who own Bloor Homes. He's a big property developer, and Triumph Motorcycles. So whilst Triumph Motorcycles is a private limited or private company, they are owned by the holdings company of John Bloor, okay, Bloor Holdings. Anyway, so and it says here, it's basically saying, they're privately owned, but the spirit of Triumph, however, belongs to you, the rider. Well, okay, that's just marketing speak, isn't it? They're basically trying to deflect away from them being a big company owned by a even bigger company and a big billionaire businessman. No problem this whatsoever. This is not a criticism at all. I'm just trying to give you a statement of fact. But it says here, Triumph has 6 world-class factories around the world. 2 of these factories are based in Hinckley in the UK. I wasn't aware of that. I thought it was only 1, but there's 2. There's 3 in Thailand, in Chonburi, and the other one is in Manus. And every motorcycle begins its life in Hinckley, where all our design work, prototype construction and engineering takes place. So in other words, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're produced here. They're just produced elsewhere. But they are owned. They are a British company, but not a lot of activity happens here. Or so I thought. And then I started digging into their strategy. And I was like, well, what's going on here? And I wasn't aware of this in terms of strategy. Okay, this is the way it works for Triumph. In that, they see where the demand of their motorcycles comes from. Which market? So I think I'm right in saying that their biggest market right now, or as of now, 2022, last year, was the United States. So because it's in the United States and Europe, I believe UK and France is a big market for them as well, that they shift the production of virtually all of their motorcycles to the UK, or the big ones, the big ADVs, let's say. And the other manufacturing in, let's say, Brazil or in Thailand, they're still producing their bikes, but they're not the main manufacturers. But they produce the bikes for other markets around the world. If, let's say, the market drops here or in the United States, then they shift production back over to Thailand. So every factory is geared up to produce all the bikes, I believe. Okay, apart from the prototypes and specialist engineering, I believe the gearboxes and some other components are all manufactured here in the UK. Whilst there is the capability to fully assemble all the bikes here, it really depends where the market is. So then, what the demand is in those markets. So it's not necessarily that they are producing bikes in Thailand or Brazil for the global market. They shift it around. It depends where the market is, where they feel they can get the best deal, the best sales, the best, tariffs, let's say, the best labor costs and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was really interesting. But when you look at things like this and you think, well, okay, this is not a British company anymore in terms of operation. This is a company that operates on a global scale. This is nothing new, by the way. I'm not bringing you new news, and I'm not trying to claim that I'm bringing you new news. I just thought the new news for me was I didn't know that they shifted production according to demand or global demand and where that demand is coming from. I thought it was just they produce the bikes there in Thailand, let's say, and then they produce a small number over here or in Brazil. I didn't know that they could shift it around like chess pieces on like a pawns on a chessboard, as it were. So there we go. Triumph Motorcycles, they are a British motorcycle company operating at a global level, and they are no different to many other motorcycle manufacturers now. They also have relationships with other motorcycle companies, let's say from India, from China as well. Obviously in Thailand, so whilst they may not be official, there's lots of connections there. There's lots of associations there, and I'm sure they're building up on that. And when you're talking about on a global sense, it's just a really interesting thing. It's a really interesting thing for me to acknowledge here. So I've never really delved into Triumph at this level really before. I knew they had bikes from different parts of the world, but never this level. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know your thoughts on this. Would you consider Triumph as a British motorcycle brand, or it doesn't matter where they make their motorcycles as long as the ownership, the headquarters, are in the UK, right? Now, I suppose I'm asking the same question of any other motorcycle brand. Does it really matter where they're produced, as long as the head office, the design, the thinking is in the country of its origination? Does it really matter anymore? Let us know your thoughts.